Okay, so I have a 2002 Volkswagen Jetta TDI, and I went on a trip to go help my dad do some stuff, and my temperature gauge stayed right where you're seeing it right now, the whole thing, and it was a 4-hour drive each way. So going online, looks like common problem is the engine coolant temperature sensor. So I'm going to attempt to change that out and hope that's what the problem is, because that is by far the least expensive fix. Okay, so here's the tools that we're going to be using along with that jack. I really hate those jacks, but that's what it is. Okay, so we've got headlight, little makeshift funnel, something for the coolant overflow to go into. I'm going to put it in this just so I have plenty of space. A ratchet with a 10mm socket, Phillips and flathead screwdriver, and a pair of channel locks. I don't even think we can see the part that we're trying to get to, but it is down under, it's right there. And the engine, I thought it would be cooled off by now. It's still a little warm, so we might not be doing this yet. But anyways, what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen this very gently here, because I don't want hot coolant to come exploding all over me if it decides it's going to. Anyway, so that lets the pressure off, and now we're going to tighten that back up, and this sort of creates a vacuum so that when we open up when we take out the sensor, hopefully we don't lose too much coolant. And then a few tips that I saw on the internet. I'm going to take off the cover. I mean, that just makes things easier. I'm also going to take off this hose, and then I'm going to take off the air box here. Hopefully it's not too difficult, to try to make it so I can get easier access down there to sort of route my funnel through and catch whatever coolant we end up losing. We'll see how it goes. So 10mm for the engine cover. Mine is kind of, I don't know if you can see it, it's pretty well beat up. There's stuff underneath that, the insulation's coming off, but still best to try to take care of it as good as possible. And then of course this one up here I think might even just be gone. It might be. Anyways, okay, got the engine cover off, and now this guy here, and it's these hose clamps. So I'm just going to use I don't have hose clamp pliers, so just some good size channel locks should hopefully do the trick. Okay, so that's pretty easy. So now I'm going to remove the air filter in this box, and that should give me quite a bit more room to access down there. So I think, see, we've got some Phillips heads back there, and then I think it's a few number 10s. A couple of them are hidden down there pretty good. I think that's for the air box, but I will, once I get that sort of opened up, if it's something else, I'll let you know. Okay, yeah, so that was pretty easy actually. So to get the top off, I've done that before. There's just 2 Phillips head screws, and then you gotta undo these clips from the box back here. The box itself is 2 10mm socket, here, one there, and one there. So having an extension to get down there is helpful. But now, if you can see down here, I'm gonna probably flip over. We'll see if it stays upside down or not. So right there, that's what we're wanting to take off. So I have to try to get my little makeshift funnel here to go down through to catch whatever coolant we lose, and then let's see, then I think I'm going to try to take the whole thing out and then take off the wire harness. Might get a little bit, I might be able to access that better, because I've heard they're easy to break, these clips. So I'm going to pull it out, hopefully drain the coolant into something so that I can recycle it back into the system. And then once that's done, pull this out, disconnect the harness, make sure I get the old O-ring out and stuff. So there's a clip right here that I'll have to loosen using a flathead screwdriver, but first thing I'm going to try to route my little makeshift funnel, and we'll see how that goes. Alright, so I removed the clip from here. Let's see. That's what it looks like. So you're able to get a flathead right underneath there and sort of just pop it and it comes straight down. My little makeshift funnel, I'm going to have to try to reform it, but I fed it down through here and into that container, so hopefully I should be able to catch whatever coolant is lost. I jacked up the rear driver's side, which should hopefully push some of the coolant away from the sensor, and then I'm hoping with that vacuum, I'm hoping I won't lose too much. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just slightly pull it out just a little bit, and kind of see how it goes. I'll try to position this and get it so that we can, you guys can hopefully see what the hell I'm doing. But probably, well, we'll see how this goes. Take my watch off so I don't beat the crap out of it. Put on some nitrile gloves. Hope to hell this thing is cooled down. I really don't want to scald myself with hot coolant. Also, if it's colder, it might flow slightly slower. So get this kind of formed up under here and start just some. Losing some. I'm gonna have to rinse some off with water. I'm basically just hoping I don't lose enough that I have to go buy a bunch. It's a little warm, but not hot, so that's a bonus. Oh, losing some, so we'll slow it down, let it go down. I'm losing quite a bit. My funnel seems to not be working all that great. I'll have to have some water and rinse this off. So I can see right now that the O-ring stayed in there, so I'm gonna have to fish that out with my finger. But it looks like it got out. Yeah, I lost a bit, but hopefully not. It's still dripping a little too. Ah, darn it. So we'll let that go for a bit. Yeah, the O-ring. Yeah, the O-ring is still in there. Okay, so I think you can see this on camera. So this is the clip. Those are very sensitive. It looks like I'm trying to see here. So I have to push it down in, and then okay, alrighty. So there's our old one. Yeah, missing the O-ring. So use my finger, see if I can get in there. new part. Highly recommend. Blowing dang wind. So make sure you get a new part when you get your new part that it comes with a new clip. You just want a new clip anyways. You don't want that thing failing. They're plastic, I think. So although I thought the other was metal. So. Nope, they're plastic. And then definitely make sure you get a new O-ring. So I'm going to, man, that wind. I think I'm going to go ahead and actually hook the wire harness up first, and then just try to get this seated in there, and then put the new clip on. Nice thing with the shape of this. Can only go on one way, so that helps. Might still be losing a little bit of coolant, but push that in until it clicks, which is kind of a pain. Okay, then you want to get this straight, and once you start pushing in, just constant pressure until it seats, which doesn't have to go in too terribly far, I don't think. Okay, I'm gonna, let's see, find my new clip if I didn't do it. The wind almost took. Yeah, you can see I lost a lot more than I hoped, anyways. Get the clip up. Get slippery because I lost coolant onto the driveway. So push. Make sure it's seated. Both sides clip. Seems like one side's not wanting to clip. That's in there, come out. This side keeps loose for some reason. That would be why. Well, so that was my new clip, and I think I broke it. We'll see. Make sure you get them in there straight, apparently, which is a bit harder than it looks. I guess that's why you don't throw away your old clip, just in case. Let's try this way. Let's see if I can. What the hell is going on here? Sucker. Alright, I think I got it. Alright, so now it's just clean up and put everything back together. I'm going to get some water to flush stuff, get rid of these gloves, clean up, and call it good. And then I gotta check my that's how much coolant I caught with my little funnel. Unfortunately, you know, I ended up with some down under the car and some down in here. So I'm gonna fish my funnel back out, and then I'm gonna use some water and rinse all this out before I put it back together. I did take the jack out, and so far I haven't seen any leaking coolant at that sensor. I'm pretty sure I got that clip in there. I held on to the other one too. I may just check it every now and then and see how it's doing. So another tool that comes in handy, a magnet, because I dropped one of the airbox bolts, so I gotta go fishing. Okay, airbox reinstalled, so I'm sure the wind noises are going like crazy. One thing for sure when you are taking out the airbox or putting it back in, so this little guy here is a good guide. It's like I'm not even sure what it is, but anyways, this pops out when you take it out, and this also does, like this part here is a part of the box, so you kind of pop it out and slide it that way. When you put it back in, you kind of have to drop it in at a, and kind of maneuver it a little bit to get it over this, and then slid into here. Here's the two bolt locations, one there, 10mm, and then hold on a sec. Let's see, and the other one right down there. So in relation to the other one, there's one, and there's the other one, and they're both 10mm. And then we'll just pop the air filter back in, and then the cover just goes back on with like clips in here, the top does, and then there's two Phillips head screws that you use to tighten it in. All right, so the filter's back in, the cover's back on, like I said. So two Phillips head screws, one there, one back there, and then like you slide it into these clips and then wedge it down. One thing with this cover, when you take it off, you want to be careful, because this is your mass airflow sensor here, and this can cause you all kinds of problems. So I kept it clipped in. If you unclip this, you'll get a check engine light. You'll either have to unplug your battery for a while or drive like 60 miles or whatever, reset it. Or I guess you probably could go have it reset. But anyways, I just left it and I tucked it when I was working on stuff. I sort of just tucked it back up here. It's probably that thing you heard sliding around all the time with the wind. So now, put the hose back on. Okay, alright, so I just put the air hose back on. Just got to slide it on, maneuver it on, put these clamps in, and next is my beat up insulation on the cover, and then the cover. Oh, I thought I'd show this. This is what I have left from insulation on my engine cover. It's just completely part of it. And then some of my parts are broken, but it still works, so I still use it. So I filtered the coolant that I captured it through this paper towel. I don't know how well you can see that. It's a good thing, probably a good idea to filter. The wind blew the leaf into my coolant when I had it under the car, but all this black gunk and stuff is just stuff that kind of got washed off as it was coming out of where the sensor area was and going down my little makeshift funnel. I don't know, I gotta get this on level ground to really get a good look. It looks like I'm above the minimum. Oh, I can't really see it, but just barely. I'm on a pretty good slant, so that actually might be higher than, that might read higher than it actually is. So I'm gonna have to check that. I live in a cold area, so if I do need more, I will actually get some of the G12 coolant, which unfortunately is rather expensive. If you live somewhere else, you might just top it off with some distilled water and call it a day. But I think since we get pretty cold here, I'll probably be topping it off with some, I don't even know if they make G12 anymore, but it's whatever G12 or whatever its substitute is will be what goes in here. But so far it doesn't look to be leaking or anything down there, and just let the rest of this sort of filter through as much as it can, and then take it for a test drive and see how it goes. Alright, so I went for a drive out, and you know, I live out in the country anyways, so kind of went for a drive, and 5 minutes out, 5 minutes back. Now I'm in front of O'Reilly's just so I can check flat place, check my coolant levels, and if I need some I can pick some up. But you will notice that I am right at 190, which with this car is where I'm supposed to be. So success, I think. So that's a pretty easy fix to do yourself, and probably save a couple $100 from the shop. one other thing, so like I was having some issues with power, and I was wondering if my turbo was going on, and then the shop I go to, they're pretty good, and they were telling me I probably needed my intake manifold cleaned, which is probably true, but it seems like that coolant temperature sensor messes with a lot of stuff, because it might be just that I was getting a little more power this time, or that you know, that it was deciding to work, or it might be in my head, who knows. But I mean, when I put the pedal to the floor, it seemed like the turbo reaction time was faster, and I was getting a little more kick. There's a hill that I need to go try, because that was really where I noticed my loss of power. By the time I got to the top of it, I was going 40 miles an hour. It's a pretty steep thing out here. And then when I'm merging onto the interstate highway, it's been kind of sluggish a lot. Every now and then it'll kick in and go okay, but most of the time I've got it floored, and the RPM slowly build, my speed slowly climbs. So I'm gonna have to check that and see if maybe this helps out with that. But you know, if it is, it's a cheap fix, because even with my makeshift funnel and buying the part with lifetime part from O'Reilly, I had a couple $5 coupons that came out to like $14. So something to definitely look into.